June 29th, 1972. Big shocker. Everybody, no, that was before my time a little bit, but I remember my parents and people telling me, oh my gosh, when the Pope said this, we were like, what? We would say that through some mysterious crack. No, it's not mysterious. Through some crack, the smoke of Satan has entered the church of God. There is doubt, uncertainty, problems, unrest, dissatisfaction, confrontation. The church is no longer trusted. We trust the first pagan prophet we see who speaks to us in some newspaper, and we run behind him and ask him if he has the formula for true life. I repeat, doubt has entered our conscience, and it entered through the windows that should have been open to the light, science. Okay. The smoke of Satan enters the church. Did it enter in 1972? I would dare say that all this, if we look back, gosh, the smoke of hell has entered ever since Judas. Right? Now, this is shocking because when we hear it, we're like, oh my goodness, what's going on? We think our church is perfect. We got to remember there's cracks in our church because we're human. And if we don't seal those cracks or we open certain doors, that smoke can come in. That can happen in our marriage too. We got to seal the cracks. What are the cracks? Arguments, jealousies. I didn't like the way you looked at her. No, baby, trust me, no. Right? Now all of a sudden there's an argument. No, there's nothing. Oh, I better write her a love letter. That's what I'm going to do for my wife now, right? Why? Because we have to start to trust each other, but we also have to build that trust. I have to know that I have to be prudent too. I can't look at other people. I can say, wow, that person's very beautiful, but I can't all of a sudden let my imagination run. That's letting that smoke in, right? Ladies, if we say, oh no, not tonight, not tomorrow night, not next week. Husbands can do that too. After a while, are we married? What's going on? We need to pray. You know what? If we find that distance, we got to stop and pray. We got to stop and pray. Let's take out the rosary, which we should be doing every day. But that's where the little smokes come in, and we got to seal those cracks, right? Make it good as new. In Akita, Japan, have you guys heard of this? Right? There's prophecies. I like the prophecies. I find them fascinating. They don't really scare me much because I think this is true of every age, but I like to read them again because it reminds me that it's true of every age, right? The work of the devil will infiltrate even into the church in such a way that one sees cardinals opposing cardinals, bishops against bishops. The priests who venerate me will be scorned and opposed by their confreres. Churches and altars sacked. The church will be full of those who accept compromises, and the demon will press many priests and consecrated souls to leave the service of the Lord. And we think, oh, that's happening now. True. But that was probably happening back when we had 2 popes at one time, even 3 popes at one time. That was probably happening back when St. John Vianney was being told that he was really not that smart and his priests were making fun of him. We had priests again, right? So we got to remember that, yes, this is true and it's startling. And if nothing else, I hope that it renews my faith in saying, I have to build a church up. I am the church. We are the church. Not just the priest, not just the consecrated. In fact, we are a living sacrament. Remember, we walked into the sacrament together, and the only way this sacrament works is if we are hand in hand. If we're walking together, we're not going to let this smoke come in. And in fact, if we start to solidify our marriage, guess what? Those graces are going to spill over into the church building, into the priests, into the bishops, right? Here we go, the smoke of hell. Sister Lucia, the final battle. The final battle between the Lord and the reign of Satan will be about marriage and the family. Don't be afraid. Kind of scares me, though. You know, she says, don't be afraid. But then I think, wait, should I be scared or not? Wait, what's going on? Because this is now the final battle, right? This is a prediction. But I think we need to also think of final in a little bit of a different way. Don't be afraid, she added, because anyone who operates for the sanctity of marriage and the family will always be contended, always, for all time, be contended and opposed in every way, because this is the decisive issue. And then she concluded, however, Our Lady has already crushed its head. Why is this the decisive? Why would family be the decisive issue? Does anybody know? Why family? Yes. Because the family leads to life. We share in the creation of God. And I just said the family is the living representation for us as human beings as the consecration on the altar. So what better? I don't want to see, if I'm on the dark side, I don't want to see that. I don't want to, if I see a husband and a wife loving each other, that reminds me of Christ marrying his bride of the church. And I'm destroyed. That's why I got to get rid of the family, because if the family's strong, the church is strong. Good families breed good priests. Good families breed good nuns. Good families breed good families, right? So it's all a trickle effect. If I have a good family and I'm on the dark side, I've got nothing to stand on. That's the most powerful force of breeding life, and it breeds life to the priesthood, it breeds life to the holy orders, it breeds life to future marriages. A good family can do a lot of good damage to the dark side. That's what it comes down to. That's why that's the decisive battle. If the family stays strong, there's nothing that can stop the church. The church is the family. We represent the union of Christ. Our Lady of Good Success, right? So we go back to Akita now, Our Lady of Good Success. Thus I make it known to you that from the end of the 19th century and shortly after the middle of the 20th century, now we have dates, right? The passions will erupt and there will be total corruption of morals. As for the sacrament of matrimony, which symbolizes the union of Christ with his church, these are the words of Our Lady, which I also read, Full and Sheen reminded of us. It will be attacked and deeply profaned. Freemasonry, which will then be in power, will enact iniquitous laws with the aim of doing away with the sacrament. Again, why? Because we represent life of the church, making it easy for everyone to live in sin and encouraging procreation of illegitimate children born without the blessing of the church, without baptism. In this supreme moment of need for the church, the one who should speak will fall silent. I don't know exactly what that means. Who should speak? Maybe it's us. Maybe we should, because a lot of people say, well, then the Pope should speak, or the priest, or the bishops. I think we should all speak, right? I think we should all speak and say, no, we got to form good families. We got to form good sacramental families because, like I said, a good family breeds life to a good church. The final battle will be against the family. But why? Like I said, it was the first battle. It is the battle to end the union of Christ and his church we represent in matrimony. If you want to know how a story ends, I remember one of my English teachers telling us this all the time. If you want to know how the story ends, look at how it begins. How did our story begin in the Bible? The fall of man began with the fall of man. Right? It was creation, God is great, but our story, God created us, and all of a sudden, then the eyes of both of them were open. After they ate of the fruit, after they disobeyed God, and they realized they were naked, so they sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves. The final battle, the decisive battle, the forever battle has always been against the family. It's been about separating the wife, or it could have been separating the spouse, but in the book of Genesis, separating the wife, getting her to fall, the husband feeling a union with his wife, falls as well, and then it's the breakdown of the family. But God comes in and saves us, right? Why are sins of this flesh, sins against the flesh the oldest sins? They always say prostitution is the oldest known profession, right? Why? Because it was our first commandment. It was the first order, the first sacrament that God ordered us to, right? Again, it said God blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. It's the first sacrament, so it's the most holy sacrament in terms of forming that family, forming that union, representing that union with Christ. So of course we're going to want to, or not we, the dark side is going to want to do away with it. That's where our strongest sins are going to be. That's where our strongest temptations are going to be, right? At the base level, shall we say. But should we be scared? We're hearing some scare. Oh my goodness, the final battle, the family, what's going on? We just talked about having a strong marriage, teaching our children. What do we do about this? This is that tidal wave. Let's find that door. Let's find that simple door that's going to do away with all this. Here's what Jesus says. And I say also unto thee, thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Hell has no power over us. We can't let the door open. The only way there's power is if we allow the door to open, if we allow those cracks to happen, if we allow the windows to open, where we say, it's not that big a deal. And usually it happens when we're feeling really good. We're feeling really good, life is going good. Yeah, I can handle that. It's okay. It's okay if I look at a little something. It's okay if I think a little something. It's okay if we start letting those little cracks. It just takes a crack, right? But we must remain the Church of Christ. Christ is ultimately tied to the sacrament of marriage as communion. And this is the one sacrament, again, I repeat this, we said this before, in which the contracting parties are ministers of the sacrament to each other, which means that we have to be strong together. I have to be there for my wife, and I have to hope that she's there with me. That's what's going to keep the marriage solid. Okay. Here we go. It's very simple, actually, right? Actually, let me back up a little bit. So, contracting parties. Let's look at how simple it is to build a strong marriage and to not even have to worry about the dark side. This is the ultimate deliverance. I know that when we have our warfare conference, it's great, right? We hear about, the demonic and this and that, this is what they do, and all of a sudden levitation, and oh my gosh, and they said this, and Do I really want it? So my question to my wife is always, do I want to hear about deliverance or do I want to hear about the devil? I don't want to hear about the devil. It's a waste of my time. When I die, I hope that all I can see is Christ. That's all I want to see, right? So how am I going to do this battle? Well, it's very simple. The ultimate deliverance, the ultimate exorcism, the ultimate protection, the ultimate sanctification. I'm going to look at my wife, I'm going to say, how are you doing today? Sincerely. And I want to know how she's doing. And I'm going to listen to how she's doing. Right? I'm going to say, hey, what are we doing today? What's our plan? We're a family. We're going to do something together today. Right now, I know my wife's sending me pictures of the kids, right, as I'm here, because all of a sudden Saturday's our day. Is there anything you need from me today? We need to ask this of each other. It's very simple. On the one side, it's very easy to say, oh, he's got a honey-do list, right? Here's my honey-do list for my husband. But what would happen? Doesn't a guy have needs too? Sometimes, what if we did a honey-do list? Oh my gosh, how rude, right? But this is where we have to ask ourselves, what can we do for each other? And it's not about, oh, you think you're my boss? No, I want to serve you, right? What can I do for you? What can I do for you to serve you today? Give me a list so I know how to serve you today. I'll give you my list because this is what I hope that you can serve me with. We're a partnership, right? There shouldn't be anything animosity about that's going to bring me closer together because how can I help you? How can I make your life better? I really need something from you today. Today I'm feeling like this. I need you to do this for me. And I know that you're going to extend that same courtesy to me on the days that you need something, right? We're going to help serve each other. Thank you for, this might sound silly, but thank yous go a long way. Thank you for filling up the car with gas for me today. Thank you for taking the car to the car wash. Thank you for mowing the lawn. Thank you for washing the dish. Thank you for looking after the kids. Thank you for, not getting mad at me when I left my clothes on the floor. Whatever it is. It might sound silly, but we have to have an acknowledgement of each other on a daily basis. If I stop acknowledging, and it seems too simple, right? Thank you. What, do I write you a thank you card? Sure, if that's what you want to do. But why not sit down and just say thank you? Thank you for marrying me. Right? Children, I really like how your mom did this. You know what? Your mom cooked such a good dinner today. Let's thank her. Did you say thank you for a delicious dinner? Let's thank your mom. Look at your mom did all these dishes today. I did them yesterday. Whatever it is. Are we showing the children what we're grateful for? Are we teaching them that we appreciate each other? This is how children know. Remember I asked before, do your children know that you love each other? Do you love your spouse? Of course I do. Do your children know it? This is how they know it. They see what we do for each other. They see how we talk to each other, right? All right. I love you. Thank you for marrying me. What about a marriage inventory? Remember I said that there's milestones and we're going to grow. What I like at 40 is probably not the same thing that I liked at 20. What I like at 30 is probably not the same thing I like at 50. What I like at 50 is probably not the same thing I like at 70. What's your favorite color? Has it changed? What's your favorite movie? Now, this might seem a bit extreme and silly, but if we're in constant communication, we won't do this every 5 or 10 years. It's going to develop a habit. Is there something you feel that's missing in our marriage? Is there something that you feel is missing in how we treat each other? Is there something you feel that's missing in our sex life? Is there something that you feel is missing in the way that we are intimate? Is there something that you feel is missing in the way I speak to you or we speak to each other? Let's sit down and write this. Where do you want our marriage to be in 5 years? What do you see happening? Because we're getting older. What's going to happen 5 years from now? Are we still together or not? Let's have an honest conversation. You're really annoying. 5 years, man. I don't know. The kids are getting older. They're going to be out of the house, right? Because sometimes the kids keep the bond. All of a sudden, kids are 18, they're out of the house. What's keeping us together? A lot of marriages break up. Trust me, I see you do a lot of counseling with that. A lot of marriages break up that way. What are we working towards? Remember, we're a working sacrament, whether the kids are home or not, they've grown up and they left the house. We're still that living sacrament. How do we live that sacrament? What do we always say? If you go to your local coffee shop and you see that cute old couple in their 80s and you're like, they're such a cute couple, right? And then you ask them, oh my gosh, how was it? And the wife goes, ugh, right? Or the husband says, I just shut her out. You never know, right? That happens sometimes. But sometimes you get the feeling that regardless if it's like that, or they say, we learned to live with each other, or he's my spouse, so that's where you see the real love, where you're like, wow. So you guys never argued? All the time. So you never found him annoying? More now than before. So you're still in love? I have to be, right? What keeps you together? We made a vow. That's stronger than us breaking up. I made a vow to love him, which we learned that love does not mean happiness. I don't think Christ was happy on the cross, but he had a lot of love for us on the cross. I'm not always happy in my marriage, But what does that mean? Does that mean I don't love my spouse? No, I have to love my spouse. Love is separate from happiness. Now, if I can have both, great. If I can be happy and in love, great. But I can't put that burden on my spouse to say, you have to make me happy. That's another terrible burden. It's, I'm going to bring my happiness and I'm going to learn to love you. And if the other person sees it the same way, then we understand that we're hopefully bringing each other's happiness, and that's what creates our union. I think of you and you think of me. That's the marriage love, right?